Hello and welcome everyone to another one of my Infinity Battle reports from the French tournament that happened in at the start of February, where I was running Varuna. Sorry for the long delay between the videos, but I got quite sick and my voice is not 100% ready, so please be mindful of me. This time I decided to add a webcam from this video moving onward, because apparently some people prefer to have some moving picture in the video to make them focus. So yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully it will not be too distracting for you. So a little bit spoiler alert with the thumbnail, I'm going to be running a catalyst. And the catalyst I'm going to show you is basically the same one I played in the round before. However, the reasoning for playing this is quite different than previously. Because now we are running the cutter, well obviously, we're running the support package and we're running the fire team. And now we don't really care about the mission. The mission lineup, I mean the classifieds. The reason why we're running cutter is quite simple. We're playing against Bakunin, and the worst thing about what can happen against Bakunin is just you not going through the riot girl. So the cutter is necessary evil there, in the fact that while it might not accomplish anything else than killing the riot girl, this is all I really need the cutter to do. Because if I kill the riot girl, I can then move out from my deployment zone. This is all with the assumption that I'm going to be running against pure core riot girl, because at the time of this event happening, I didn't quite know that there was an alternative way of running Bakunin other than pure riot girl core. This brings us to a conclusion that yeah, we're running the color, the Montesa is there to do missions, the killer hacker is just for, well, just good stuff, it's breaker combi rifle and it gets hacking, and Kamau is there to kill the Cenobite if needed, right? Then we have a group 2 of chaff to support ourselves. But primarily we want to gun through the riot girl and then just go from there. This is not an easy matchup by any means, but additional benefit of running cutter in frontline is that there's a lot of points under camo marker, so we can basically guarantee that we'll score at least one of the zones if the game goes somewhat right. Now for the opponent list, this was actually my first time running into so-called Baltic version of the Bakunin, and we have a cheap riot girl moderator core with Zoe, just to have a 6th sense hacker. Then we have duo of initiatives that deploy repeaters in the midfield, and they also work as a Hansa guided missile launcher delivery, because like we obviously have to run vertigo zone as a delivery. Then we have the neat package of Denma that is supporting our MSV orphan to, you know, do some smoke shooting against targets that are vulnerable to smoke shooting. And then finally there's something that I wouldn't really expect, which is the Reverend, Cenobite and the Orphan Fireteam Harris. Again, this is basically a smoke trick package with the Orphan, but we also have the Reverend Moira, which is quite unusual, but she has an NCO skill, and Cenobite for some close assault. Then finally something that I think only Arenikos is running is a duo of the Riot Girl Spitfire and the Uhaho. Uhaho is obviously gonna be in every Bakunin list moving onwards, because she's just fucking bonkers. But the Riot Girl with a Spitfire, this is really quite important for the Riot Girl to be linked with Uhaho, because it blocks her frenzy and it allows us to move the Uhaho forward to eat some pitches. Then finally we also have the Pywell, which also has pitches. So all in all, this is a list that basically runs pretty much only the guided missile launcher plan as the main strategy, because we have deployable repeater, pitcher, and then another pitcher, there is the another pitcher, and the guided missile. So all in all, not quite as a sportsman like we will call a strategy, but it is what it is and we have to deal with it. So we ended up rolling on a frontline on this table. I lost the whip roll. My opponent decided to take this deployment zone, as I think you should in frontline. So after some pondering, I decided to go hard second. The reason for going hard second is that this is a frontline mission. I have a cutter, and even if I go first, I'm not really gonna do any damage to Bakunin because how powerful this faction is. So my only option for winning is just using the cutter to score one of the zones at the end and basically try to force the issue this way. 4 cards I got, I think I only had one card that I could do, which was the combat support of healing somebody. Every other card was pretty much undoable for me. So the way I deployed my stuff is I went with the Kamau sniper laying prone here because I don't want to take a gunfight against the missile launcher. Then I have the Fusilier here, and my lieutenant here. Then I have the paramedic located downstairs, ready to pick somebody up. Then I decided to deploy Zulu Cobra in the mid because I didn't know at the time where the hackers would be placed. I just expected the zeros at that point, but I could easily maneuver either this way or that way to hopefully hack somebody. Then finally there is the Montesa. The Montesa is deployed as far as possible because I don't really want to deal with the pitcher into oblivion, into immobilize, or even a guided. I think the Montesa could be useful later on, but all in all I don't really want to lose it. Then finally the Helots obviously are deployed far forward, ready to screen myself, and then there is also the turret here. The engineer is the final piece to deploy. I mean, this is the Pathfinder bot, and the engineer is located here with the PAL bot here, if I remember correctly. So I deployed as far away as possible because remember, my win condition in this game is to hopefully survive with the cutter till the last game and then deliver the cutter to the zone I want to score and then win this way. Now, my opponent had the luxury of deploying second, so he took full opportunity of this. He deployed the riot girl core here at the top, and the missile launcher is standing here ready to fight the vault, supported by the paramedic next to it. Zoe is also located here in a pretty much spot that I can never get to her, and the rest of the moderators are located behind this building. Then finally there is the Harris fire team located in the middle, ready to advance either this way or that way, and finally the Uhahu is located here, ready to move out with the riot girl to support the offensive with the pitches. Pywell is located here, ready to fight the vault in arrow, but I'm not really quite sure what the Pywell is expecting to do in this particular situation. Then finally there are the initiative is one with the repeater here. The other repeater is located, would be located here if I remember correctly. So, oh, sorry, no, forgive me, this is the model, and the repeater is here if I remember correctly. So basically this creates a bubble where I cannot go here and I can neither go here because of the repeaters, and I cannot even sneak through with stealth because she has, Zoe has the sixth sense, right? So also there is the saturation zone located here, which makes it very difficult for me to move. My saturation zone was deployed on this side, hopefully to slow my opponent down, but it can also be useful at the later part of the stage to engage the riot girl. So my opponent has the first turn, and his reserve drop is initiated. Actually, the initiative I told you, it was his reserve drop, it was dropped here, the repeater is located here, and what ends up happening is the initiative moves up here, deploys the repeater. I shoot it with a turret, I shoot it with the Fugazi, I shoot it with the Helot. The initiative explodes, but it's irrelevant, the repeater is already there. Then the entire turn of Aranikos is spent on first deleting the Kamau sniper that's located here with like four orders combined between Spotlight and Rockets, and then 2 or 3 more Rockets delete this guy. The rest of group 2 is basically moving around with the Uhahu, shooting some pitches, and then performing 2 cards on my HVT, which was here if I remember. It was like here or like somewhere in close proximity. So in the entire turn, first turn of Aranicus, he didn't really deploy anything for me to kill. He didn't expose anything, only lost the initiative, but he put me in loss of lieutenant. He killed my sniper, and then basically did 2 out of 4 cards on my HVT. So I was already playing from behind at this position. But yeah, there's still a game plan of the gather going on. So I start my first turn, oops, in loss of lieutenant. And yeah, I reveal the gather because I have to reveal it as soon as possible, just to get the value out of tactical awareness. And even though I'm loss of lieutenant, I have to do something in my turn. So I activate the gather, move out here. Remember, there is a saturation zone here. So I take the gunfight against the riot girl through the saturation zone. It takes me 2 attempts and I can't land a single shot. I can't land a single wound on the riot girl. I think out of 6 shots I land 1 and she passes the save and just goes prone if I remember. And I have to retreat the cutter to not expose it and spend the rest of my command tokens to recamo it. Then that's basically it. I basically moved my engineer that started here. The engineer is set it here. I move it to here, so it can be closer to the cutter, and call it a day. That's the best I can do in these circumstances. So yeah, I really wanted to go through the riot girl, to not go through her later on, but it is what it is. Then there goes my opponent's second turn, and basically Denma moves up here, tries to force the issue across the battlefield. Then I have to shoot with the hilot, shoot it with the turret. Denma does it with the impetuous order and explodes to the lucky hilot or like turret. So yeah, that's kind of okay. Then the fire team Harris of the the orphan of MSV2 moves out here, tries to engage the hilot that is located here at that point, tries to shoot at it. First time I tank a save, second shot I crit and remove the orphan from the table, so that's a good start. However, that's not the end of the world for my opponent, as he basically decides to go with the Uhahu located here. Then she goes basically there, shoots a pitcher here, then uses Spotlight to delete the Tech B, uses Spotlight plus Guided to delete the Hilot, yeah, the Hilot. Moves closer and basically retreats back to the safe spot. So basically this leaves the Riot Gust here standing for the reactive turn, and the Missile Launcher Riot here. And Cenobite and plus the Moira occupy this and this position. So again, while this isn't really going that bad, if you would think, I still don't really have any models outside of my deployment zone. I have 0 cards to Arnincus 2, and I still have to get through the repeaters. So my turn starts with the cutter again engaging the Riot Girl. It takes me 2 or 3 attempts, but eventually I put the Riot Girl unconscious. Then I decided to move back with the cutter into the space spot, trying to preserve my win condition. I then use the Silver Cobra, move around here, get on top of this building, shoot the repeater off, and get isolated from my trouble. But luckily I'm isolated, not spotlit, so at least I have model that will then benefit from the capturing of the zone. I remove the repeater because the game plan at this point in time is to move the cutter straight through here and try to score the zone that way. And the repeater is obviously making this much more difficult than it should. It has any right of being. So then comes my opponent's final turn, and really quickly to sum it up, he decides to shoot the medikit into the Riot Girl, revives her, then Zoe moves up here and engages the Zulu Cobra with the data scan. I reset luckily with a crit on like a first roll, then he data scans me again. I try to train him, he oblivions me, I reset, I fail, he then data scans me, I reset, I fail, so he gets third card on the Zulu Cobra. NCO, Moira and Cenobite move closer to the middle of the table, so at that point in time, in the middle zone, those two are in. Then finally the Riot Girl with the Uhahu duo. The Riot Girl stays on the Arenico side of the table, Uhahu moves up here, and then my opponent gets very unlucky because he tries 4 times to the final card on the HVT, so he has 3 out of 4 at this point in time. Tries to do the last one but fails all of his whip rolls, and the Uhahu is left up here. So then basically the game state at this point in time is that the Cenobite and the Moira are located in the middle. The Riot Girl and the Pywell are located in his deployment zone. I should do this. Then Uhahu is located in my side of the table, and then finally Zoe is also in his side of the table. So at this point, this is my game to take basically, because all I have to do is outpoint my opponent. And the way I go with it is I activate the cutter that's still located here, I move up here, shoot at the Uhahu, who's there at this point in time, and she shoots a repeater at me. What ends up happening is that Uhahu lands the repeater, I fail to kill her even though I'm BS15, and I'm quite stuck with the repeater on my face. I then have to use this hilot to shoot at it, then I miss, I use then this hilot to shoot at it, and I basically kill the repeater. So that unstacks the cutter. However, the Uhahu used the guts roll because I landed like 1 hit on her, hides here. So I have to kill her somehow. I have group 2 order. I move the Helot up here, engage with the Uhahu, and like basically the Helot dies. So I'm kinda running out of options. I spent a lot of orders not accomplishing anything because Cutter can't hit anyone. So what I have to do is activate my Montesa. I drive like around here to stay out of zone of control for the Uhahu. Then I basically run my motorcycle as far as I can, just into her face. She tries to oblivion me. I respond with a shotgun shells. I win the face-to-face roll but fail to heal her. So she again like guts rolls to here. So I dismount my Montesa, go up here, and engage her in close combat. And at that point, Aranikos I think makes a big mistake where the Uhahu is here. I move my Montesa here, so I can also see the initiative that's located here. And Aranikos, for some odd reason, decides to deploy a repeater, losing his gamma state. Uhahu is finally killed after like 3 or 4 attempts at killing her. And then with the last order for the Montesa, I move up here. The initiate tries to dodge, I shoot her, I win the face-to-face roll, kill the initiate. I'm oblivion, but it's irrelevant because the Montesa is now in the middle zone. I have 3 orders left, precisely left for the cutter. I recamo, move, and basically leave him in the zone for the Aranikos. So at the end, what I have is that I have a Helot that's here in my zone, so like it's like 9 points for me. Then the middle is controlled by both the Montesa and the Zulu Cobra, so I outpoint the opponent's Cenobite and the Moira. I'm worth more. And then finally the cutter is in this zone, so I outpoint the Pywell, the Riot Girl, and the Zoe by like 5 or 10 points. So basically this is a clean example of reverse sweep, where just by having cutter in the front line I managed to win the game without even doing a single card. Even though I tried to revive the Fusilier with a paramedic at some point in time, because this was, I remember, the only card I could do, I failed the Fizz roll and the Fusilier died. So all in all, this was quite a difficult game, and more importantly it was not really engaging game, because most of my reactive turn, all I did was roll spotlight resets and dodges from the guided missile shots. The only face-to-face roll that happened from my opponents was like the Orphan dying to the Helot there, like taking this gunfight, and then the Riot Girl taking gunfight against a Tech B, which also failed to kill her because Tech B survived the armors and dodged. And then Guided killed both him, and that was end of the story for those guys. But yeah, all in all, this was my first meeting with the Bakunin and seeing how crazy powerful those guys can be. So anyways, thanks very much for watching the report. I really hope you enjoyed this game. And finally, as a final word, what I think my opponent could have done better is generally in frontline, when you are ahead on cards, I think you should just settle for one zone and try to win a small win and not go for big, because if all of his models are like left in the middle zone and he forgets his zone and my zone, then there's no way I can just outpoint him with a cutter, or even leave those models in his zone, and that's a tie if I remember correctly. But anyways, just for you guys at home, if you're playing frontline and you're ahead on cards and you basically didn't finish off your opponent, just put all of your guys in the middle. Just forget about all of the other zones. Just get the middle and you should have the win. Anyways, thanks for watching and hope you enjoy the battle report. Cheers, guys.